Beat me.
As I said, I was not able to record the other class, so
Yeah, we're
let's go through here.
Hello, YouTube.
Excuse me. Let's go through here, and what we're really going to do is use this as a guide to help us understand what we did before the break and carry it through, and by the end of this, we'll have a very good understanding. So, the other day we talked about the vertex form of an equation, and the vertex form of a parabola is this.
We did talk about
Yes. Y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Now, we didn't talk about a yet. We'll do that in a couple of minutes. But hk are the coordinates of the center. I shouldn't have written center. Sorry, that would be for a circle. It's the vertex of the parabola. So the first series of questions say, based on these two equations, what is the coordinates? What are the coordinates of the vertex, or what is the vertex? And remember that whenever it's in the parentheses, it's always reversed because of that minus sign. Whether you're getting roots, zeros, whether you're finding a vertex, it's always going to be reversed. So the coordinates of the center are 5, 3.5. If you just fit this into the format where you go a, x minus h squared plus k, the h is 5 and the k is 3.5. So therefore, the coordinates of the vertex are 5, 3.5. Please remember, if you're in a parenthesis, what do you always have to do?
reverse the
Reverse.
Sorry.
So this says negative 5, so it becomes
Positive
5. Okay, so with that in mind, what would the vertex for part B be? Nick?
-1, -8.
That's right, -1, -8 is good. Now, I'll come back to talk about the role of the sign and the number in front of the parenthesis in a minute. God bless. Okay, next up, writing an equation for here, and it says use a lead coefficient other than 1. The lead coefficient just means the number in front, like leading a racer in front. So this would be, there's lots of different answers, but I'm going to go with y equals 2 times x minus 100 squared plus 200. Okay? What you should notice here is the coordinates hk. H is 100, and it's always reversed, so minus 100, and k is 200. What would the next one be? I'm going to put, by the way, 1/3 here, and I'm going to go one step further and put a negative 1/3, for reasons that you'll see in a minute. What would the rest of it have to be? Jake?
X plus 3/4
Good, and then?
squared
Good,
minus 6.
good.
That's what, because I have a question.
Okay, yes.
Is that what you put in front?
Well, that's what we're getting to now. Any questions about H and K? All right, I think we're pretty good. Now, as far as the lead coefficient, what Nick aptly termed what you put in front, can everybody on your graphing calculator please type in y equals x squared? You all type that in there?
Yes, sir.
You should get a parabola that looks like that.
Yep.
Okay, now type in y equals 3x squared.
On a different line or a same line?
Y2. When you do that,
Oh, it shifts
it doesn't shift it.
Like,
It makes it skinnier, yeah, more narrow, thinner, okay? The reason for that is pretty simple. When you write y equals 3x squared as opposed to y equals x squared, you're taking every y value and multiplying it by 3, which moves it further up the graph, okay? So that's why it becomes more narrow looking. Now, everybody type in y equals negative 3x squared.
I was gonna do the opposite.
And what do you think that will do?
y.
It's gonna be upside down.
Yeah,
Upside down.
I can agree with that. Wow. Am I right?
Okay?
You know,
Y
it's
equals
negative.
negative 3x squared will be narrow still, but it'll flip it to the negative spot. Okay, we all okay?
Yeah.
Anybody with any issues?
Negative.
Yes?
It's saying that there's like a syntax error.
Oh, because you did y3, right? What are you doing?
Make sure you're on, go to Zoom 6, that'll give you a correct window, and then just type in the same thing again and it'll be fine. Now, type in y equals 1/2 x squared.
Why is it 1/2?
What?
Yeah, make sure the half is in parentheses.
Squared?
Y equals 1/2 x squared.
I know.
You
what
put
it is.
5?
One divided.
Just put in y equals 1/2 x squared. You could do 0.5, it's the same thing.
Ah, it's whiter.
1/2 x squared.
Lower the
Whoa.
value.
This is
No, that's to convert from a fraction to a decimal to a fraction, I'm sorry. Just put it in parentheses, so you're putting in 1/2. When you do it, do you see that your parabola gets wider?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go back and let's take a look at each of these graphs, and you tell me, what do you predict the effect would be? Yes?
What do you do to make a maximum in like the positive quadrant? Because that was a thing. I don't know how. Because I.
Did anybody get any of that?
No.
Why don't we just keep going, and I think you will get your answer as we go along, okay? All right, what do you think would happen with that 2 in front right there?
You multiply it out.
What would it do to the graph?
Make it thinner.
Thinner, make it more narrow.
Also,
Good.
how do you determine if it's a max or min without even graphing it out? 'Cause I
Very simple. Would this be a max or a min, guys?
It's a max.
Okay,
Be a
do you have
minimum.
some to take home?
Minimum.
Like,
Because this is positive. Since it's
Oh,
positive,
yeah,
it'll be a
yeah.
smile,
Okay.
so it has a bottom to the graph.
oh, it's
Now, what do you think the negative will do?
Make it maximum.
It makes it a maximum, it flips it upside down, because the negative is a frown. So Molly, as soon as I see a negative here, I know I'm gonna get a maximum.
or if it's a negative and a negative, that's I'm not.
Negative and a negative would make it a positive, no? Okay? So I have 2 here, makes it more narrow. The -1 keeps it the normal width, but it flips it upside down. Let's go to here. What would the 2 do again? Everybody?
It would make
Narrow.
a smiley
And what would
face.
the -1/3 do?
It
Does
would be
2 things.
Wider
Frowny.
and
Wider and
Frowny.
and frowny or flip it so that it would have a maximum. Okay. Now, with that in mind, let's take a look at these 2 equations. What do you have as a relationship between y equals x squared plus 1 and y equals -2x squared plus 1? I think you should be able to look at it and find the vertex, okay? So I think the vertex is going to be the same, but then you also need to consider what the different graphs will look like.
Can I clear the things with my graph?
I'm sorry?
Can I clear them?
If you want to, sure. I would hope that you won't need to in time, that you'll be able to look at them and judge based on what you understand about the vertex form. But for now, the graphing was actually a pretty good idea. All right, so, I just said to you a minute ago that I believe these 2 parabolas have the same vertex. What's the vertex?
1, 0.
0, 1.
0, 1.
Look, remember, general vertex form, y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. If you notice, you see how it just says x squared here? That's really the same thing as x minus 0 squared. So that means the h part is 0, and then the k part is right there, 1. So they both have an identical vertex of 0, 1. And if you graph them, you would see that they both turn at that point 0, 1. Okay, question me?
Will they give us that formula for the,
No,
no?
no, you have to know.
So
Next.
A parentheses x minus h.
Squared plus k. Just remember, listen, the reason we use h is for horizontal shift, okay? If it's in the parentheses, it's horizontal shift, it slides it left and right. If it's a k at the end, it's vertical shift, and just think of spelling vertically wrong. Spell it K-A-L instead of C-A-L, okay? So it's for vertical. The reason they don't use x and y is because then it would look like x minus x, that looks really weird, so they go with HK. Quickly.
What was the y-intercept one? It was like 2 over x. Right?
Oh, no, that's the axis of symmetry, x equals negative b over 2a.
X.
Now, what would be a difference, so we know they share the same vertex, what would be a difference between those 2 graphs? There are 2 big differences. Juliana?
Well, one would be has a maximum and
Yes, one has a max, one has a min. That meaning that one would be flipped upside down. This would be a maximum because the negative turns it this way. The first one would be a minimum because it's there. Okay, and let's go with someone who hasn't helped me yet.
I didn't.
Beatty, what would the other difference be?
One narrow one.
Yeah, one's more narrow. Which one is more narrow?
The -2x.
Yeah, the -2. The 2 makes it more narrow. Yes.
But could you also say one's a higher parabola than the other?
Higher?
I don't know how to explain it. On my calculator, one goes past the 0 line and the other one doesn't, it falls short of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you could say that its values are greater. Okay. All right, so we've got that. We're pretty good at understanding that. Now, my next question is this. I'm going to write the equation of a parabola in vertex form. I want you to predict what you think this parabola will look like, and then I want you to put it into your graphing calculator and see if your prediction is right. Make a prediction of what you think that parabola will look like, and after I want you to predict such things as narrow or wide. I want you to predict such things as what the vertex is, and what the axis of symmetry is, and whether it has a maximum or a minimum. And then I want you to graph it and see if your predictions were accurate. You might also ask, where is the parabola increasing in value and where is it decreasing?
Wait, so it doesn't have a vertex? Doesn't have a vertex? Oh, they just, okay.
Okay, so what are some predictions that you made? Nick, what's one of them?
It was gonna be narrow.
Gonna be narrow, I think that's right. Well, Paulina, what would be another one?
It would be a smiley.
Be a smiley face, which means it has a minimum. Good, what's another one? Brandy?
The vertex of 4 and 2.
4, 2 is the vertex, good. Molly, did you have anything in addition to that?
No, I'm just kind of saying, like, what was this supposed to equal? Because I got y equals 9x minus 144 plus 2.
You're not equaling anything. All I wanted was for you to
I know,
be
I
able to
thought
do
you did.
this. I wanted you to realize the vertex is 4, 2, so the parabola would look something like that. You know, a little on the skinny side because of the 3 in front, okay? What would this one look like? Ready?
Do we tap it into Y2 or clear the first one?
Oh, well, I want you to make the predictions, and then you could definitely clear the first one and put this in.
Alright, so it's gonna be frowny face, it's gonna be -5, -1. Oh, I got it. It's gonna be like that. Not narrow, but like wide here. Yeah, no.
Seems like normal size.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me what you think. Predictions? Jeff?
I think the vertex will be -5, -1.
-5, -1 is the vertex. Very good.
Okay.
Okay, Nick?
It'll be shifted down one.
Yes, the vertical is the down 1, that's right. So we're over there. Okay, next.
It's a maximum. It's gonna be
It has a maximum because of the negative. Very good. Okay, good. Question?
Just normal size.
Yeah, it would be normal size. Excellent, all right. So let's take a look at the next one that we have here for number 4, and I just want to discuss the idea of domain and range with this particular function. Type it into, clear out your calculator, put in the graph y equals -16 t squared plus 96t plus 6. Okay, and we do have a context in this problem. This context is the ball being thrown, so we have to take any values that we get and filter them through that lens, if you will, that filter, and come up with some ideas. All right, if you, you can hit graph if you wanted to. Don't go too nuts playing with the window. I know it gets too tall for your graph. It just asks about domain and it asks about range. Another thing you can do is you can look at the table. So everybody go to table.
Look for the highest one.
Yeah. Look in the X, let's do the domain first. Domain is what letter, X or Y?
X.
X, it's the set of inputs. So this is a ball being thrown. Is it possible to have negative height? No. So we're looking for where the ball goes from a height above 0 to 0 and so
So
on.
the white.
So, yeah, and if you look very carefully at the table, you'll notice that the value of 6 is positive. I think it might be even 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you get to the 7, it's negative.
Uh-huh.
So the domain, if I restrict the domain to the set of integers, it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The actual value is 6 point something. I'll worry about figuring that out later, but I just wanted to emphasize that because domain is inputs and the rest of it would be negative, you can't have that. Next, as far as range goes, look at the table. What's the maximum value on the range?
150.
150, bless you. So we would say that the range of this, just to be, I do want to write this one down. I can be 0 feet high and I can be 150 feet high. So I use the bracket or interval notation with the brackets, okay? All right, so now go to the other sheet and there's a first question there to have you graph. Graph that,
The 18th.
yeah, sheet 18, graph that on number 1. And by the way, when you do your homeworks tonight, it's just the odds on both sheets, yes.
By the way, it's, the person says it's 6 feet, so the Y says 1, 0.
Yes, yes, absolutely, yeah, so it's thrown from the height of 6.
650 instead of 0, 150?
No, it's all, it can go to 0 because when it starts at 6, but then when it gets over here, it gets down to 0, okay? All right, go to sheet 18, guys.
Wait, the range represents the height, right?
Range is the Y value, yes.
Yeah, so it's the height that comes in.
Question 1, right? I didn't calculate that.
Mm-hmm.
I calculated that.
See if I have any more batteries. What I did. Look on with somebody. We're almost done here.
That's it.
Oh, I got the same thing.
Okay, so, we put the graph up, this is x squared minus 6x plus 5, very good. Let's talk about some of the important features of this particular graph, things that you should be able to recognize. Who sees features? Jacob?
I see.
The roots are 1 and 5?
Beautiful. 1 and 5, and we call those zeros or roots. Or x-intercepts, okay? Let's go, Molly, what do you see?
Axis to symmetry is 3, or x equals 3.
X equals 3. Don't say vertex yet, we'll save that one. Axis of symmetry runs right down the middle, and Molly is perfect, x equals 3. You
No,
must
it's
put x equals, on that point you're perfect, not always around. X equals 3, you must have the x equals. If you just put 3, you are wrong. John, what do we got?
The vertex is a minimum.
Good, vertex is a
and
minimum, and what is it?
The y-intercept is 5.
What is the vertex?
I have it, 3, negative 4.
3, negative 4, very good. The y-intercept does work out to be 5, I believe. Yeah, you plug in zeros for x, you get a 5 there. Over what interval is this increasing?
Oh,
Nick?
from like 3
Mhm.
to like infinity.
3 to infinity, and I would write it this way. It's not actually increasing at 3. At 3, it's actually turning. So once you get greater than 3, so that would be a parenthesis in the interval notation, all the way up to infinity, and we never put a staple with infinity because you can't equal infinity. Yes?
Okay, so how do you write your roots? Because if you wrote 1 times 3, would they take that as?
No, that's fine. Or you could do this, 1 and 3.
Okay.
Now, next part, where is it decreasing? Sean? Actually, negative infinity to 3. All right? With the parentheses there. All right, one last thing I'm going to show you. This is a little beyond the scope of this course, but I just want to show you how it all kind of comes together. This is something that you would do in Algebra 2. Ready? I want to show you that there is an equivalent form in the vertex form that matches the graph perfectly. I would subtract the 5. I'm going to do completing the square. And you had a question on your work the other day that said something like using completing the square, find the value of c. This was it. Ready? You want to half the negative 6, which is negative 3, and square. So this needed a plus 9, and the answer to c the other day was whatever you had to add in there, whatever the square was. This works out to be 4. Then if I subtract 4 from both sides, I get x minus 3 squared minus 4 equals y. Notice, normal width, and 3, negative 4 is the vertex. And what do we get as the vertex here? 3, negative 4. So the standard form, which we work with pretty much all the time, and the vertex form are equivalent and interchangeable if you wanted to do that. All right? Hasta la vista, vaya con Dios, tu blue, ta ta. Arrivederci, smile a lot. Ciao. Arrivederci. Adios, amigos. See you, amigas. Cheerio. Produce.
Ryan
Gaddafi.
Please, Ryan Khalifa.
Bill, you can just show up to Hill.
Following students to the library at this time, please. That's to the library: Stephen Arizaga, Kenneth Cajamarca, Stephanie Cando, Sergio Ruiz Perez, Randy Valverde, Carlos Perez Encalada, Kimberly Franco, all to the library. Thank you.
So we won't have to do that till like Algebra 2, right? We don't have to worry about that this year. We just did last.
If I come across something, I'll be sure to prepare you for it, but